Welcome back to the show. Time to talk about what's going on in television. It's time for the mid-season replacements.
Absolutely. Brent Furdyk is joining us now from TV Week magazine. How are you, Brent?
Hi, Brent.
Doing great.
Doing great. It's not really mid-season replacements, is it? Is this still like new stuff?
Well, it's mid-season. Some are replacements. Some are just stuff that they've planned for mid-season.
What stinks has been taken off the air, and there are new things in the place.
Yeah, more stuff that stinks.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Moderately stinky. American Idol, a lot of people were talking about the new judging panel. Of course, we've got the dog, Randy, J-Lo, and Steven Tyler.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the new Idol?
Well, I've been watching over the last couple of weeks, and I gotta say, I'm kind of gradually warming to both J-Lo and Steven Tyler. I think in their own ways they're, being really effective as judges. The big problem is Randy. Who would have thunk it? But for some reason he
sticks out like a bit of a sore thumb now, doesn't he?
He does. Plus he's sort of...
He's cranky.
He's cranky now, and he's trying to become the new Simon.
He shouldn't. He should just be the dog.
He should be the dog.
I think he felt like everyone kind of ditched him too. Like everybody left.
But Seacrest is still there.
But you can't reinvent yourself. I mean, we've spent 9 years ignoring everything you've had to say. Now we're suddenly supposed to listen to you?
Well, we've seen a lot of people try and step into Simon Cowell's shoes, and it really does not work. You're Simon Cowell or you're not.
And the big problem I see is that when you have Simon Cowell insulting you, he's got that British accent. It's like, I'm better than you.
It sounds uppity and okay.
And there's something almost like a pro wrestling thing about it where it's kind of fakey.
Yeah.
With Randy, he's just kind of mean.
Yeah.
And it's, it kind of hurts people.
Well,
I think there's
I don't know if this...
It hurts me.
People have been talking about the demise of the franchise. I think what's going to happen, or what it seems to be happening already, is it's just going to kind of settle in the middle somewhere. And it'll go on. Like Survivor had that issue for a few seasons as well, where it just kind of settled.
And, it's been the #1 show for so many years. Season 10, nothing lasts forever. At a certain point, it's got to level out. They've had a good run.
Are the ratings doing well with the new judges?
The ratings are down, but still better than anything else on TV.
Yeah, I was going to say, and yet still.
Okay, let's go to Piers Morgan tonight. Of course, replacing the one and only man in suspenders, Larry King.
That's right.
Piers Morgan, what do you think?
Mixed. It's a mixed bag so far. I mean, his first week was pretty, out of the park. You got Howard Stern, you got Oprah,
Howard Stern, by the way,
Rice.
that was a great interview with Howard Stern.
Fantastic interview.
Yeah, it was
absolutely.
a lot of fun.
But who was interviewing who? I mean,
it was a great interview with Howard Stern because Howard Stern is a great interview.
Same with Oprah too.
And Howard though made a great point where he said, "Yeah, you got a great week here, but let's see what's happening, 5-6 months down the road when you're talking to Scott Baio for the 4th time." And that's
God, we know how that is.
And that's the issue when you have an hour-long show with one subject. I mean, the popularity really lives or dies with who you get as a guest.
Is he going to stick to entertainment, or is he going to do more what Larry King did and kind of branch out?
I think that's the plan. I think that was why he was very, pointedly had Condoleezza Rice on to say, hey, I can interview politicians too, not just Kardashians.
Right, that's right.
But, as an interviewer, the problem with Pierce is he's not as good as he seems to think he is.
Yeah, well, that's the other side of that sort of British thing.
Yeah.
There's sort of an element that seems like he's not always particularly interested in what people are saying.
And that's his style, it's that bravado. He comes from the, the British tabloids. But, I don't know how well that's going to play. And, to borrow a phrase from Larry, Des Moines, Iowa.
Hello, Iowa.
But how have his ratings have been? Because, of course, we had the curiosity factor of tuning into American Idol. What about Piers Morgan?
Well, like any of these shows, you start off with huge ratings for the first episode, which was Oprah. Then they go down and down and down. And again, once he hits Scott Baio territory, we're going to know what the actual ratings are.
I love that. Okay, there's a few new dramas coming to television as well. You want to talk about the Chicago Code is the first one.
Chicago Code is the latest from Sean Ryan, who brought us The Shield. And the cool thing about this is it's actually shot in Chicago.
Oh,
as opposed to
revolutionary idea.
Not that there's anything wrong with shooting in Vancouver, but it doesn't double.
It's happened a lot.
It does happen a lot. And so far so good. It's a real gritty cop show. Honest cops, corrupt cops. There's a corrupt politician. And Chicago's got its own unique sort of style.
Now, cop shows are a dime a dozen. Is this a good one?
Yeah, it's one of the better ones. It remains to be seen how well it does. But Sean Ryan, I mean, The Shield is one of my favorites. Yeah. So
The Shield and The Wire, they really they set the bar very high for these kind of gritty cop dramas as well.
Absolutely. So I'm looking forward.
What about Criminal Minds' suspect behavior?
Well, of course, Criminal Minds has been on the air for a bunch of years. It's a team of elite crime fighters investigators who track serial killers. This is a spin-off.
So they're doing the Law and Order CSI thing, and now we've got suspect behavior.
Suspect behavior. Now, they didn't even bother to put it in another place instead of, Criminal Minds, Florida. They're just basically getting another group of investigators. And in this one, you got Forrest Whitaker.
I like him a lot.
He's really good, and his character is a little off the wall, quirky. He's, into tarot cards and stuff like that. And then you got Janine Garofalo, who's by the book.
Oh, come on.
So, yeah, I know.
Criminal Minds started out, obviously very dark subject matter, but it started out really well. And then they started throwing all these weird elements into it, like the jokey character, and it's just like...
Well, these shows where you have to solve a murder every week, you have to, do something different every time. And there's so many of these shows on television.
No, you don't. CSI Miami.
I was going to say.
That's
Come
true.
on.
But that's my argument, is you don't. People like what they like. You don't have to throw all this other garbage
Well, it's on CBS, which at this point I think has more dead people on their shows than live people. So I think it'll do well. I mean, they obviously have an audience for that.
They have a death rate in every show. They have to have at least 4 corpses in every primetime show.
It's like being an Edson on Star Trek.
Otherwise, they don't do it.
They bring a celebrity on the show, the celebrity will die.
That's right.
Yes, or they did it.
We have time for one more. Mr. Sunshine. Let's talk about this one.
Mr. Sunshine is an upcoming comedy created by, written, and starring Matthew Perry.
I don't know.
He'll be here for you. Until it gets canceled. But,
Is it? Have you seen any?
It's okay. It's not bad. He plays the sort of he's an irresponsible guy who's pushing 40. Yeah, sure he is.
Yeah.
Isn't he like 50?
Yeah. This is TV. Suspension of disbelief. And he runs a sort of a low-rent San Diego sports arena. And he's got relationship issues and problems, but the one good thing about the show is Allison Janney plays his boss.
I like her.
She's so
She's
funny.
Really good.
She's this sort of rich, spoiled, crazy, prescription drug-taking maniac who's just hilarious.
There's potential right there. As a little spin-off to that, and I know we weren't going to talk about it, but Matt LeBlanc's. LeBlanc's.
LeBlanc, but LeBlanc.
LeBlanc.
Yeah.
LeBlanc.
Hey, I don't speak French. LeBlanc.
I'm Canadian, I don't speak French.
But his new show where he actually kind of plays Joey, and that sounds like kind of an interesting concept.
It's a fantastic show. It's called Episodes.
Yeah.
And the premise is there's this couple who have a hit sitcom in the UK, and they're wooed by American Network to bring it over.
The Office, anyone?
Right.
I mean,
And it basically details how every step along the way they have to make these ridiculous compromises so that this show about this erudite elderly headmaster of a boys' school becomes Pucks, where Matt LeBlanc plays a hockey coach. And it shows you this sort of disastrous transition. And Matt LeBlanc plays a version of himself, and he's very funny, and the show's really good.
Oh, good. Yeah, I've heard lots about that.
Well, thank you so much, Brent. If you want to find out more, you can check out the website, or of course you can pick up TV Week magazine.
Very nice. We're going to take a break.